Towns for employment have been unable to return to their homes as a result of the curfew. People seeking to return to their hometowns were seen registering themselves at police stations located in the Colombo district. A large number of people arrived at the Moratuwa police station to register themselves today. People were seen registering themselves at the Mount Lavinia police station as well.
Now moving on to headline making stories, the police stated that 1,815 curfew violators were arrested during the past 24 hours that ended at 6 a.m. this morning. According to the police, 595 vehicles were seized during this period. 17,717 curfew violators have been arrested in total since the curfew was imposed on the 20th of March in a bid to curb the spread of COVID-19. 4,586 vehicles were seized for travelling without a curfew permit during this period. Now, keeping up with more local news, police spokesperson SP Jalya Senaratne said permission granted to use the official ID as a curfew pass for both public and private sector essential services has been extended until the 30th of April. The Police Media Division announced that this extension will apply to essential service operated by both public and private sector institutions, including ports, shipping companies, immigration and immigration, health, petroleum corporation, telecommunication, power and water supply, agriculture, Sri Lanka Transport Board, railways, the Treasury, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, and all other state and private banks and the media. The validity of curfew passes that were initially valid until the 1st of April have now been extended until the 30th of April. The Police Media Division stated the current system of issuing curfew passes will conclude on the 30th of April. Sri Lankan Airlines has announced that it is temporarily suspending all flights from today until the 21st of April, considering the travel restrictions imposed by its destination countries. Issuing a statement, Sri Lankan Airlines said it is reviewing the market conditions and the restrictions and is ready to recommence operations at short notice, even before the 21st of April, if such restrictions are lifted. The statement added it is, quote, willing to operate special flights during this period to repatriate the Sri Lankans who are wanting to return to the country if required, end quote. The cargo services of the airline will continue to operate from its worldwide network and special flights as and when required. Passengers are advised to contact their travel or issuing agents, the nearest Sri Lankan Airlines office or Sri Lankan Airlines 24-hour contact center on 011 777 1979 for more details. Now in your stock exchange update, the Sri Lankan rupee slid further and depreciated to 200.46 rupees against the US dollar. The rupee recorded a selling rate of 192.65 rupees against the US dollar on the 1st of April and has declined since then against the backdrop of COVID-19. As of 11 a.m. today, global coronavirus cases stands at 1,431,973. Global deaths stand at 82,096 and recovered globally 302,209. Now, as the rest of the world slowly goes into lockdown, the Chinese city of Wuhan, where the virus first emerged last December, has started reopening. Healthy residents and visitors, those with a green code on a health app, will now be able to leave the city. Train, roads and rail connections have also resumed. It's been 11 weeks since a city of 11 million people was shut down. Since the outbreak began, more than 3,300 people have died in China out of a population of 1.4 billion, a large majority of them from the Wuhan Hubei province, and 81,740 have been confirmed as infected. As China relaxes lockdown measures in Wuhan, where the pandemic started, elsewhere in Asia, countries are still struggling to contain the spread. Japan declared a state of emergency for several large cities, paving the way for much stricter guidelines in the coming days. South Korea hasn't released its latest numbers yet, but over the past days has seen the number of new infections remain below 50, a significant milestone for the country, which was once the worst hit outside China. Indonesia remains a hotspot where doctors expect the actual number of infections to be much higher than the 2,738 who tested positive. Authorities have given the green light for Jakarta to impose further social restrictions, while the government will issue special bonds to deal with the economic impact. The Philippines has extended the home quarantine order for roughly half of its population to the end of the month, while in Cambodia, the upcoming Khmer New Year holiday has been postponed from next week. Malaysia remains as Southeast Asia's worst-hit country with the highest number of confirmed infections, with just under 4,000 people having been tested positive. In India, the 21-day lockdown is set to end next week, but a number of state leaders have already called for an extension or for the measures to be lifted only partially. India has agreed to lift an export ban on a drug that US President Donald Trump called a game changer in the fight against the coronavirus, despite reservations from medical experts. The decision came after US President warned of retaliation if India did not drop the ban on hydroxychloroquine exports. Police in Pakistan have arrested at least 50 doctors who were protesting over a lack of protective equipment for frontline health workers. The number of people in France who have died from the coronavirus has now risen above 10,000. Latest figures show 10,238 people died from a population of 65.3 million since the 1st of March. In the past 24 hours, 607 deaths have been recorded in hospitals. New York State recorded 731 new coronavirus deaths from their population of 18.8 million, marking the biggest one-day jump in the outbreak. The state's death toll since the beginning of the outbreak is now at 5,489. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump blamed the World Health Organization for getting every aspect of the coronavirus pandemic wrong and threatened to withhold funding from the international organization.
The WHO, that's the World Health Organization, receives vast amounts of money from the United States. We pay for a majority, biggest portion of their money. And they actually criticized and disagreed with my travel ban at the time I did it. And they were wrong. They've been wrong about a lot of things. And they had a lot of information early, and they didn't want to, they seem to be very China-centric. And we have to look into that. So we're going to look into it. We give a majority of the money that they get. They called it wrong. They called it wrong. They missed the call. They could have called it months earlier. They would have known. They should have known, and they probably did know. So we'll be looking into that very carefully, and we're going to put a hold on money spent to the WHO. We're going to put a very powerful hold on it, and we're going to see. It's a great thing if it works, but when they call every shot wrong, that's no good.
Boris Johnson is spending a second night in intensive care as he continues to receive treatment for the coronavirus. Downing Street said the Prime Minister is being kept at St Thomas's Hospital in London for close monitoring. Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter, has said he will donate $1 billion towards efforts to tackle the coronavirus pandemic. According to the Twitter chief, the donation represents approximately 28% of his wealth. Two employees of the Millennia Pradeshiya SABHA in the Kalutara district were attacked last night while they were distributing water from a bowser.
The two local council employees were admitted to the Horana Base Hospital for treatment. The attack had occurred at around 7:30 p.m. last night. The employees had moved the bowser off the road when they were about to be attacked. They drove it to the Millennia police station after the attack. This incident had taken place at a time when police officers are very busy due to the prevailing curfew situation. The illicit alcohol trade is also thriving. We believe that must have been the cause of the attack. The suspects had fled the area following the attack. The Bandaragama police, who arrived at the location, have commenced investigations into the matter. Meanwhile, two people were arrested for transporting heroin in Kegol. They had transported the heroin on a motorcycle. The suspects were residents of Hemmatagama. Police said that the suspects had been arrested based on a tip-off received. The Venapur police raided an illegal distillery at a house in Boralassa in Venapur. Two suspects were arrested along with some equipment used to distill illicit liquor. They are due to be produced before the Maravilla magistrate.
Nutrition packs and fruits were distributed among 150 expecting mothers at the Ministry of Health official in Tissamaharama.
These nutrition packs had been distributed by the general manager and the staff of Laya Safari Resorts, which is owned by the Sri Lanka Army.
India has gifted a 10-ton consignment of essential life-saving medicine to Sri Lanka in view of the ongoing COVID-19 crisis. Now issuing a press release, the Indian High Commission in India said the medicines have been requested by the government of Sri Lanka. The consignment was brought to Sri Lanka by a Air India special charter flight yesterday. In your sports news, the Canadian Grand Prix has become the latest Formula One race to be postponed as a result of the coronavirus crisis.
The Montreal event is the 9th race to be affected so far this season. It was due to be held on the 14th of June, but organizers had to make a decision now because of the length of time required to set up the track. Attempts will be made to find a slot for the popular race on the circuit Gare Villeneuve at the earliest opportunity in the summer.
Submissions are still being accepted for the art competition done under the Nagitimu Sri Lanka. Paintings received from across the island depict their vision of the future Sri Lanka.
Gammadda Nagitimu Sri Lanka. Nagitimu Sri Lanka.
The Nagitimu Sri Lanka theme song was created to inculcate a positive mindset within the people of Sri Lanka as we tackle the COVID-19 outbreak. We also invite you, our viewers, to join us in sharing that positivity by singing in fact the Nagitimu Sri Lanka theme song, and we received an overwhelming response.
Anduru wala pata atarin hinahi nakitimu Sri Lanka.
Diyasaka sangka badaka atarin nakitimu Sri Lanka.
Hitamu idiriya mai khawanna hama nakitimu Sri Lanka. Heta idiwana navalokaya hamuwe nakitimu Sri Lanka. Nagitimu Sri Lanka.
Nagitimu Sri Lanka. Isidano venas minisat guna piripun rata Sri Lanka.
Mevan bhumiye urumaya apage rakagamu Sri Lanka. Idiriya gana ekwi apasituwot rakagannata Lanka.
Duruvi vyasana apa idiriye ati badaka jaya ganva.
Nagitimu Sri Lanka.
Nagitimu Sri Lanka.
மாற்றும் காணாத மனித பண்புகள் நீந்திடும் ஸ்ரீலங்கா.
நாட்டு முட்டினம் உரிமை தேசத்தை காப்போம் இரு கண்ணா.
எழுந்திட ஸ்ரீலங்கா.
Rise up Sri Lanka.
Anduru wala pata අපි නැගිටිමු ශ්‍රී ලංකා.
Gammadda Nagitimu Sri Lanka.
The super pink moon, which was the biggest and brightest this year, illuminated the night sky yesterday, also showing the visibility of 5 planets, namely Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter and Saturn. We leave you this afternoon with some footage of last night's supermoon. For the News First team, I'm Devi Paldano. Take care.